really into the occult, big time. And it just, when he said that, I was probably 17 or 16 or something at that time frame. And, I young kid, I kind of like blew it off. Now when I think about it, maybe he was thinking back then that we needed protection because we don't know what's out there. I mean, I get people on my show, I interview, and it how can I say this? They look at everything as from the Bigfoot or to aliens or whatever. As I hear it so much that they're warm and they're friendly. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know if they're warm and friendly. I mean, I haven't met one, and I really don't want to, but it scares me because we're so barbaric, the human race, that if somebody's more civilized, way more civilized, they could look at us as no more than a blight. And you mentioned like A Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, like, hey, we got to make this roadway, right? And Earth is in the way. They might just look at us as such savages that maybe at the point they've been watching to see if we do blow us up, maybe it'll come to the point where they'll get so discouraged with us, they'll push that little button themselves and say, hey, we don't have to deal with it anymore.
Yeah, exactly. Kind of puts things in perspective when you realize how large the universe is and how small potatoes we are, even in our own galaxy,
Well, what gets me is, like, you had astronauts say that when they landed on the moon, they saw on the other side of the crater, they saw spaceships. Right. I don't think he was lying. I don't think the person that said it had Alzheimer's or dementia. I mean, I don't. And he's not the only one that said that they saw strange ones. There's been other astronauts that said that they saw, UFOs outside their window of the capsules. And it's so many.
Well, matter of fact, there's an interesting story I remember. You're exactly right. There was this one female astronaut who mentioned the fact that she sees a bogey outside the spacecraft when she was up in the, I think it was the International Space Station. And she was obviously cut off from her communications. Her superior officer said, go to channel whatever, and they went through the secrecy protocols. And when she got back on Earth, there was a big, press conference like they normally have for incoming or returning astronauts. And the press guys out there were really fascinated with her initial report that there was a bogey, outside the spacecraft. And she actually, at that point, was very honest and said, I saw a UFO outside the spacecraft. It came back a couple times. I didn't know what it was and stuff. And then all of a sudden, she faints. I don't know if you saw that, but it was like a famous scene that was played over and over again on the internet, where she just faints. And then, of course, they revive her. The EMTs come and take care of her, and she seems to be okay. And she actually gets up and starts continuing with the conference. And as soon as she starts veering off into that idea of these UFOs that she saw again, she faints again.
Yeah,
and it was one of those things that people were thinking, "Oh my gosh, they've got some kind of an implant. They can just turn her off, if they don't like what she's saying."
Well, that's a possibility. I mean, seriously. There was even like with the shuttles, the space shuttles, a couple of the flights they were on, they reported seeing, boogers. I was going to say boogers, bogeys out there, that UFOs,
right.
And quickly shut off communication real quick when they announced it. It just makes me, I don't know. Do I feel there's UFOs? I just like this. If we think we're the only creatures out in the whole entire universe or universes, then we got a problem, because there is life out there. Yeah. And, maybe there's life below us. Maybe there's life way above us. And I know that I would be really concerned if I was light years ahead of us to look at our planet and see how barbaric we are. I mean, to go and listen to those old radio shows or TV shows or news reports, that are now reaching way out in space. They would be, I know if I heard it, I would go, wow, these are nothing but savages, and we don't want to be near them. So maybe that's why they've been investigating us. And again, like I was mentioning with our guests, maybe, we were seeded on this planet at one time by an alien race. Because, I mean, there's just too many strange things. Like he was mentioning, like electronics found, when they went digging a certain depth. I mean, there's undoubtedly, I think it's been recycled, our Earth, several times. I don't know what's going on this time. I do... Yeah. One thing he did bring up, and I do notice this, because I told my wife this just recently, that I was going down the stairs, I looked outside, and it felt like 3:00. And it was bright skies, right? But it wasn't bright like it used to be. It's I don't know if you've been noticing that, but it's not intense light. Now, I don't know if it's the sun is not putting out like it used to, if it's changes there, or it's something we've been putting in the atmosphere. I don't know what it is, but it is something that's going on there too.
No, I seem to remember, even in my neck of the woods in Edmonds, that when I was a kid, the summertime was long and hot, and we really enjoyed it, as kids, running all over the town. And but nowadays it's hit and miss. Even we always wonder whether the 4th of July is going to get rained on for our parade downtown.
Yeah, well, I don't know. The weather here, it's just like in the last couple of years, it's changed. It's like when I used to go on my motorcycle road trips, I would head out actually about middle of May, and I would have no rain. I go away for 2 weeks. The weather here is, in the 80s and stuff like that in the Seattle-Tacoma area. Now, look at what is strange. 2 months ago, we hit 90-some degrees. And then since then, I mean, the weather we had some nice hot days, but it's not like it should be. Here it is almost going into July now, and the weather is really crappy for this time of year.
I tell you, 2 nights ago, Gary, I'm up here in this beautiful log cabin at the foot of Mount Baker. We had the hugest thunderstorm and lightning and the biggest downpour I've ever seen for probably 5 hours that night. And I couldn't believe that out of middle of nowhere, at the beginning of the summer, we have this huge downpour like that, and this lightning and thunder.
Oh, yeah. And then last week where I'm at, I got almost 2 acres of cedar trees. And here it is this time of year. And all of a sudden, I went out and, did something, it was a little cloudy, but it was still, some blue to the sky. And, I went in and watched TV for a couple hours. And all of a sudden, I had to go close the bedroom window because it was getting chilly. Not so much chilly, but all of a sudden the wind picked up. And I mean, it was really windy. And I go, wow, doesn't seem like this time of year. So I don't know. I think we are going through major changes. Again, I have Mary Joyce on tomorrow, and she was talking about the magnetic field is now changing drastically and moving really fast. And she's also was talking about the Earth is kind of like tilted a little bit. So I'm going to be talking to her about that too and find out more information about that. She does basically the same thing that Peter Davenport does, but she does one step farther than Peter does, that she does take reportings of Bigfoot also.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, you've talked a lot about her. I got to listen to that show. That's wonderful.
Yeah. So anyway, we got a couple minutes left before I sign off, about 3 minutes actually. Why don't you tell everybody about your show on Sundays? It is now, if I got it right, you're going to be on from 7 to 9 starting this Sunday?
7 to 9 on this Sunday is going to be my maiden show by myself. And I tell you what, I've got some really good guests lined up. I just got confirmation that we have James Clarkson. They actually call him the UFO detective because he's a long-term police officer, and he has been out there researching ufology for many, many years and was the state director for Washington State MUFON for many years before Maureen Morgan took over the helm. So James will be an interesting guest, and he's going to talk to us about this interesting book he wrote about a woman who was a civilian secretary at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base during the supposed downing of this alien craft from Roswell, New Mexico. So I can't wait to ask him some of those questions.
Oh, that is going to be a good show. I'm going to be sitting here, on my desk with some popcorn and my soda. I'm going to sit back with my feet up on the couch and be listening to it.
All right.
Well, hey, I do want to welcome you aboard to Night Dreams Talk Radio Network, and I think you'll find a lot of people listening. It's funny since I've been talking the last couple of weeks more about UFOs. I've been getting so much more messages from people, and the listenership has gone way up. And that tells me that, maybe people are a little bit more tired of talking about black-eyed children or Bigfoot. Maybe they're getting back to the roots about, what's going on out there when they look up the stars at night.
Yes, very could be. And the actual consciousness raising might be happening as well. Who knows?
Yeah, and I think Trump had something to do with it, too. Also talking about, 2 months ago mentioned as a joke, maybe he'll create a space force, and then it happened. I still, people are looking at me like I'm a little strange, but I look at that film video that was released with those two pilots, Navy pilots, and then the Secretary of the Air Force saying what he said to the cadets, and then some other little things that have leaked out. It just makes me wonder if something else is going on. So, let's face it, even if our technology isn't there to defend Earth, if we didn't do anything, I'm just saying what ifs, okay? Let's say if there is an alien race that wants to invade Earth or worse, okay? If the government didn't do something to try to protect us or make the population feel that they're being protected, I don't know. I got a funny feeling that there's something more in the pot than what's actually, people are realizing. And maybe that's just me. Maybe it's because I'm into UFOs too much. But I just think it's just too much, too fast, all of a sudden after all these decades of, debunking.
Exactly. Yeah, seems to be coming to a head.
Yeah, as long as I can keep my head on my body, I'm fine. Okay, sir. Well, I'll probably be talking to you later in the week, and naturally, I want everybody to tune in on Sunday from 7 to 9 and listen to the Paranormal Lawyer, and he's going to be doing what he loves doing, talking about UFOs.
Of course. Thank you so much, Gary.
Okay, enjoy your happiness in that cabin. You're a lucky guy.
Oh, yeah, this is wonderful up here.
Okay, sir. Good night, and you take care.
Good night. Thank you.
So, I don't know. This is my feelings, so don't label me as a nut. That's what I like about talk radio. We can all share our own opinions. I just, myself, feel that there's something more going on than what we're being told. But I think that's been going on for decades too also. So anyway, tomorrow we have a great guest, Mary Joyce. It runs a reporting center out of North Carolina on UFOs and Bigfoot. She'll be on their show. But don't forget, coming up in June or July, we got Steve Bassett. I mean, it's getting more and more exciting in the UFO field, and you're going to find it here on my show Monday through Friday, Night Dreams Talk Radio with me, Gary. Everybody, hey, have a good evening. Stay out of trouble.